have Kunal here. Kunal, I made your life a little easier, and I already asked them how many use CRED. So that's done.
But I should know.
Do you want to see? Do you want to see the show of hands again? Yes, please.
Please. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. So, any more questions for the audience before we start?
How many of you are using AI every day? How many of you have paid for AI? Okay.
Ghibli. More. Did you try it though? Did you?
I have been obsessed with it for the last 48 hours. I've been just doing that. I was sitting over here and doing that too.
We hope you were listening too as well. But okay, so since you started with the topic of AI, I have to ask you this then. You ask the audience, what does Kunal Shah use AI for?
Yeah, I think the advantage of being dumb in life is that you have unlimited questions. And unlimited questions on many things that you don't understand at all. And I think AI allows a lot of people like me who are clueless about many, many things to constantly know and constantly get curious about things and not have the fear of my expertise being challenged, right? I think a lot of experts are in denial of AI. And a lot of dumb people like me are embracing AI because we could never be experts. So I think it's just an interesting time where all of us kind of are leveling up in some ways. So my usual, I have unlimited curiosities. I probably have like 100 questions a day on AI, but it's just feeding the curiosity that I always have managed to retain.
What was the last question you put in that you remember?
I was just researching a little bit about what could happen if you put some random clothes and ask somebody to style somebody's wardrobe. Does it do that? Apparently, it can do a fantastic job of it.
Well, you know, there's something else that we briefly talked about with Prasoon and Suresh as well. And I come from a print media background, so I've seen that evolution in media and how and our use of it. And we were talking about writing earlier. And I had to ask you this. I mean, will there be a time when we will perhaps start seeing folks like writers say, the same way that we look at people who can do high-level math without the use of any device or a calculator, we just look at them in complete awe. Will we get to that point where we'll see certain people like that, those who do writing and poetry and art just without any devices or technology or machines?
Well, they exist right now, a lot of them. But I think very soon we will see hybrids. And I think they will become insanely more superior because if you are a creative person and let's say you are able to leverage AI to kind of fuel your thinking even and get faster feedback loops to your thinking and give you more prompts, give you more thoughts, give you more dimensions to think about, it'll automatically feed your curiosity a lot more, right? So I think it's a tool that can actually play a role of a catalyst to a very creative person. But the people who pretend to be creative and have managed to use formula and survive will struggle because they'll get exposed very quickly.
One more question, since the theme of the summit is creativity. And again, back to my point about the creative fields. We've spoken previously about, mediocrity, for instance, being democratized. How do you think we will see then originality, for instance, going forward?
I think whatever we define as originality is a curious person's ability to connect many, many dots at a much wider and deeper way than most human beings can. Nobody is just born original. They are just having this exploration throughout the life which takes them to different places and they connect dots very differently. But I think for the first time, efficiency of collecting dots is so much high that people who can connect dots will find it extremely efficient to do that. So I think it's overwhelming though, because you will soon realize that you really don't understand many, many things. But I think it feeds you further. But I think very quickly, you will need to level up consistently because the world will start leveling up very, very quickly, right? For example, it took you a good agency to kind of, let's say, make a a decent copy for a print, hypothetically for an ad that you do. But I think an intern can do almost an 80, 85 percentile job right now using AI, and you'll be like, huh, yeah, decent here, right? And then the level changes dramatically, right? Thankfully, we'll see tools that will audit people's work and tell them this is terrible, and thankfully we'll stop seeing more terrible work that exists till now. But I think my general hope is that ultimately this is the taste that will matter. When there is a lot of stuff that can come your way, it's about picking that will matter a lot.
I asked, previous speakers also, we talked about previous campaigns. I mean, one of the most iconic campaigns, and I think everyone in the room will remember it as one of the most memorable campaigns, was the Angry Dravid ad. 10 years, from now, say, would that have been written the same way? I mean, how do you think it would play out in 10 years' time? Would we still have an Angry Dravid ad?
I think, first of all, we have to understand that when I grew up, remembering some iconic ads was really good because I was not bombarded with short videos. I call ads as short videos too, right? All of us are now consuming hours and hours of short videos on our phone, either on YouTube or Instagram Reels or whatever. They're technically all ads, right? So our ability to memorize anything is going to be very, very low in general, right? So constantly creating something that allows, like Prasoon talked about, maintaining that soul and identity and trying to differentiate is going to get harder and harder and harder because for the first time we are dealing with humans who have seen it all and are perpetually bored, right? If you look at younger people over here, they are very bored because they have seen it all. I mean, let me give you another example. If you make a kid, which is 5-year-old, watch animation series, they can watch it again and laugh again and again and again because their ability to pattern recognize is not evolved, and therefore they find it exciting every time. But you are dealing with humans who have now seen all sorts of content and all sorts of themes and seen Korean shows and now gone and checked something else and have figured out patterns everywhere. Their threshold to feel any emotion and excitement is at a very different level, right? And therefore you will see that why are these young people like this perpetually bored? But they're fed with so much of information and so much of variety of information that means to evoke an emotion out of them is extremely hard. So I think talking about 10 years from now, it's, by the way, very hard to imagine 10 years from now in the world that we're living in right now, because I think humans are going to fundamentally change in this period of time. Hopefully we'll retain our values, but I think what we like, what we relate to, all of that will kind of reach a very different level of threshold, right? So I think being cluttered, I think CRED worked because we did not follow any formula of how ads are made. I remember the earliest campaigns, people would say, but all of this is fine, but what does CRED do? And the fact that everybody discussed that, and especially all the CMOs in their WhatsApp groups discussed what these ads were, I think was the biggest achievement that we had, because for the first time, an ad could really create conversations and make people have things. And ultimately, a tech company wins when the product works. So, but if you can get a lot more people to do that, and I think one more thing that is happening in the world of tech is all of you have a chief technology officer in your house between the age group of 10 to 18, who's soon becoming the chief procurement officer of your house as well, right? They onboarded you on quick commerce. They onboarded you on the COVID vaccination app. They onboarded you on everything. They made you see the new ad, your new trailer. And very soon, each of your businesses will be actually catering to them and not other people. And their threshold of what gets them excited is very, very different, right? So I think we are entering a world which is hyper entertained, hyper emotive, and they think everything is boring.
Speaking about users now, let's come to the key topic of our discussion on affluent consumers. And of course, AI is changing a lot of customer experiences, accelerating progress in hyper-personalization. Finally, we'll realize the promise of personalization with AI. How is CRED going about it? Can you just give us like some of the key points in that strategy?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's important to talk about, I think many tech companies, and CRED not being one of them, realized that in India, while you're trying to really solve for everybody through technology, when it comes to at least products requiring some consuming and some financial services, whatever, it's just limited to like 20-30 million customers, and they are 70-80% of all consumption, right? If you look at data, let's say $60-70 billion of e-commerce, GMV, food delivery, everything put together, I think 10 to 12 million customers drive 80% of that consumption, right? So I think my view is AI will make the income disparity kind of go further. I think the overall per capita income will go up for sure, but the top 20-30 million income is going to be dramatically different, and they will behave more like global citizens versus just say, let's call it them as Indians, right? And I think their content preferences are becoming the same, right? A US worker is talking about the same Netflix series as we have watched. So I think we are becoming a lot more similar because our content is getting all mixed up and we are becoming one, right? I think becoming one has an interesting thing that we can also be able to sell to other markets. We can actually appeal to those markets, can create brands that will now transcend from our country to other places and actually make people buy. But I think engaging them is going to be getting harder and harder because they will have access to almost everything and ability to do multiple things. Let's take an example of ads. We think about ads as just a given, but what if we reach a world? What if I create a product which allows you to stop watching ads when you're watching a match and it goes and plays music during ads and comes back when the match starts? It's literally 15 minutes away to make this tool, make it popular, and all TVs will have it, where you will not have to stick to that channel and switch out of IPL quickly, right? Now, these are very scary possibilities. Similarly, you can have an agent go and buy all the stuff for you on Amazon or any of that, and they will not see any ads because the AI agent has been told to go and buy this particular brand and not get influenced by seeing that ad and get drifted in that direction. So we are fundamentally looking at how humans will operate, right? And we have to understand that humans have two types of transactions: boring transactions and interesting transactions in life. Boring transactions are like, I don't know, buying bread, charging phone, fueling car, paying bills, all that stuff. And there are interesting transactions, which is spending time with kids, planning a vacation, watching a movie. All of that stuff is interesting transactions. So I think the core human need is to constantly reduce money and time spent on boring transactions and constantly increase money and time spent on interesting transactions. So AI and all of this will accelerate both of these things in some ways, right? And I think that's where it gets super, super exciting, where whatever we assumed or how will you build brands, maybe we will not have ads.
That's not very good news for a lot of agencies in this room. Thank you for putting that out there, Kunal. But maybe one last question before we wrap up. You said 10 years is a long time to predict anything. But if you could perhaps pick the biggest disruptor in engaging your customers, which is the affluent segment, say in the next 5 years, what would that disruptor be?
I think we are at a time where technology is evolving at a much faster rate than our ability to keep up on what's going on, right? Anybody who's seeing stuff that we are seeing, we are assuming like ChatGPT was not too long ago, and now we have imaging capabilities. Very soon we'll have robots, all of these things kind of accelerating in a very fast way. And I think our ability to constantly keep up is going to get harder, right? So I think the disruptive part to me is how long can just humans keep up with that? I have a strong belief that this hyper exciting and hyper evolving world makes people not embark on high commitment stuff. For example, having kids or birth rate is going to have a negative impact very quickly because it's an overwhelming world. Like, and I'd rather be part of this perpetual excitement versus like commit to duty, right? So I think we are seeing a pattern where for the first time, I think the disruption is consistent, but in small doses. Like what happened 2 days ago and all these emerging tools that have come, we are only looking at the Ghibli style, but every single thing, just try making and imagining something with it. It is all possible. So I think many professions will have to evolve. And you have to remember one thing, the largest employer of the world is inefficiency. And for the first time, we are removing that at a very rapid pace, right? And most humans are not designed to constantly learn, right? And like, oh shit, now this job is done, so should I do something else? But there'll be some set of people who love this. They love this chaos. They love this environment where they're constantly evolving. It's just that we have to pick which side do we want ourselves to be.
We need to be perpetual learners then, all of us. Well, thank you so much, Kunal. We could go on for a long time, but
thank you.
We have time constraints. Thank you.